Hi everyone and welcome back to UltraRunner magazine. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about elevation, but before I do that, don't forget to press that subscribe button, press that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. So elevation, how do we incorporate that in the training plan? So some of you might have watched some of my previous videos on my own channel called UltraAlex. I am going to try and get some of those videos over onto this channel as well so you get an idea what I'm talking about. But basically in that channel I've talked about how to train for 50 milers. We've talked about base training, and we've talked about how to increase your mileage and your time on a weekly basis for the event that you're doing. We know the rule has always been 10%. I stand by that. I still think it's a really, really good way of increasing. When you're doing elevation, you're doing exactly the same thing. You're increasing it by 10% and climbing that elevation up there. What the biggest mistake most people do is they increase their time, increase their mileage on their feet, get used to a new terrain and add an elevation. There's just too much going on there and your body will tell you off for it and you will struggle. So get your base mileage up there, get your time on your feet in the right place where you want it to be for the event that you're doing, and then start adding that elevation and your body will thank you for it and you will perform better. So obviously we need to research the event that we're doing, how much elevation gain in there and what does the elevation profile look like. So first thing I'm looking at is elevation gain. What is the total elevation of that event? You're not always going to get this into a training plan. For example, if you've got an elevation gain on an event that's the size of Everest, there's no way in the world you're going to keep practicing that in a training plan. It's just not going to happen. But you can try and get as close as you possibly can to that, which might still be miles away, to help better you for that event. I always look at my long run. I always try and make my long run trying to be very similar to the event I'm doing, as close as possible. So I'm looking at terrain. Obviously I've got my time on the feet, which I'm trying to get around about like 4 hours, and then I'm trying to get that elevation in there, which is what I'm climbing. There's no harm with you adding elevation in the week. Just make sure that you've got some easy runs in there. It's not always hard efforts trying to go up and down hills. Yes, you can use hill reps as a way of getting elevation gain up there, but normally I use hill reps for if I've looked at the elevation profile and I know the height of some of the climbs, I can try and copy that in those training plans. So a hill rep session for me would be like, okay, I want to be as efficient as I am going up this climb. Let's practice that over and over again to get better at it, rather than attacking it, if that makes sense. I would try and be more efficient and try and run the whole way. Don't forget, all the elevation gains, you're not going to be able to run them all the time. Most of them are going to be walking. So again, let's practice it. Another thing to think about when it comes to elevation is not always on the way up. If you find that you struggle on the way down, going down hills is down on elevation is actually more of a skill than going up one. So again, make sure if that's a weakness for you, let's practice your down hills as well. There's nothing worse than being really fit on the up hills. You manage to overtake a few people, running down it, and they're overtaking you because you're literally walking steadily because you're worried about your knees, ankles, and so on. So yeah, use the down hills as more of a practice. So that's basically it. All you're doing in your training plan is upping it by 10%, getting as close to it as you possibly can leading into an event. Everyone's going to have a different elevation they're going to be able to achieve on it, but just don't go too crazy on it. 10% is all you need to, and see how you go for it from there. And like I said, don't try and add so many variables in there where you're trying to add different types of terrain in your training, speed and time and elevation in there. Try and concentrate on one of those individual things rather than trying to do it all together. So any questions about elevation, please give me a comments below. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Like I said, it's not a complicated subject. Hopefully it sounds simple and it sounds realistic. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks everyone.